joining us. Tell us a story about your father and this ethnic cleansing that went on that he was a victim of, or is a victim of.
Thank you so much, Eric, for the opportunity to speak to your wide audience on an often forgotten and overlooked persecution of 120,000 Christians in a faraway land. But nonetheless, I think it's an important story. So my father, Reuben Vardanyan, is an Armenian humanitarian philanthropist who has been a political prisoner in Baku now for over 550 days. He was arrested on September 27th, 2023, during the mass exodus of ethnic Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh, Christian Armenians from their ancestral homelands where they lived for thousands of years, in what many are calling an ethnic cleansing, and one of the worst persecutions of Christians in the 21st century. And he was arrested at the border points. He was the first, but unfortunately, he's not the only one who was detained by Azerbaijan. There are 23 Armenian prisoners overall, 8 political prisoners who were all detained after the ethnic cleansing campaign. And unfortunately, the show trial is ongoing in a military tribunal against all international norms and in gross violation of international law that Azerbaijan has decided to ignore. So we remain very concerned, not only for my father, but also for all the Armenian prisoners that are being held. And
David, may I just jump in? I don't mean to interrupt. I want to talk a little. Is it because of his nationality, Armenian, or is it because of his Christianity that he's being targeted, or is it both? And then again, we'll talk about what we can possibly, or what you can possibly do to help fix it. But what are they telling you, the family, why he's been incarcerated?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very important point. And, Armenians, many listeners would know, are very used to being prosecuted for their faith. We are the first Christian nation that adopted Christianity as a national religion and have been prosecuted for that for many, many centuries. And this is obviously no different. So what we've seen is that there is a wide campaign to eradicate Christian heritage sites in Nagorno-Karabakh, to remove any claim that Armenians may have to live in that land. And my father, being an Armenian Christian, publicly voiced his criticism of this discrimination. And he was personally targeted by Azerbaijan for that, for standing up for the rights of a Christian minority group. And actually, just before Azerbaijan can aim any kind of more false accusations against my father, my father not only funded the restoration of Christian monasteries, he actually funded the restoration of a Shia mosque in the region as well, because he believed that it was important to respect all religions. Unfortunately, we are not seeing the same done by the other side.
So I'm wondering. Okay, so it seems primarily because of his Christianity, and Christians are being persecuted around the world. But maybe Americans don't really understand or take religious freedom for granted. Would that be an accurate statement? And then the follow-up would be: is there a way American or someone in our country could help? Because it is focusing on Christianity, which I think somewhere around 75 or 80% of this country has some form of Christian tie as far as their religious beliefs.
Absolutely. And I think you raise a very important point that in general, we as human beings don't appreciate, especially in the free world, some of the privileges that we have, one of which is religious freedom and the ability to practice our faith, the faith of our parents, of our ancestors, without fear of prosecution. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Armenians. And as you know, Armenians suffered the first genocide of the 20th century, in large part because of their Christian faith and their difference in the Ottoman Empire. So I think it's just very important for American listeners to understand that, unfortunately, people around the world, such as Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh, do not have the same privileges that Americans have. What I will say, though, is that Americans also have an amazing history in the region of saving prosecuted Christians. And actually, I am alive today thanks to the Christian missionaries who set up an orphanage that took in my great-grandfather during the Armenian genocide, and the Near East Relief Fund, which raised over $1.9 billion for Armenian refugees, again, in the beginning of the 20th century. So there is definitely a precedent for Americans stepping up and being kind of a leader in standing up for the rights of persecuted Christian people who were often forgotten by the world.